And I'm Carla.
And this is Booked and Buzzin'.
That's awkward.
I know.
That's a good. Let's do a cheers.
Okay.
Cheers.
And we're drinking Pisco Sours. So for today's episode, we're going to be discussing Onyx Storm.
Yep.
Which is the third book in the Empyrean series. And we have a lot to say about this one.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing I want to start with is to be able to give Carta a second to discuss her absolute frustrations with the main character, Violet. And then we'll talk about theories and things we're confused by, things that we loved, characters that we loved, kind of like an overall on the book. But I really do think Carta needs to get this off her chest.
I mean, I think I've gotten a lot off my chest various times, but I could write a thesis paper on this.
Okay.
Okay, let me just preface by saying I do like the book. I do like the series. I feel like there's so much potential. And I feel like it's such a I don't want to say it's like such a unique concept because there obviously are other books about dragons and dragon communication, like Aragon, and you see like Wyvern communication between Manon and in Throne of Glass. So like it's not unique in the sense where like a writer and a dragon, but it is a unique setting, like a war college where your dragon, you're training with your dragon and all that stuff. So I feel like it's such a good concept and there's so much potential. But I just get so frustrated reading Violet's perspective that it almost like, because she frustrates me so much, like I don't enjoy the book as much as I could.
Okay, that's fair.
So I have a lot of things I don't like about her, but for the sake of like brevity, I narrowed it down to like 5 main things.
Okay.
And like there's really 2 huge ones and I have notes on the side, so.
Yes, I'm ready for it. Well, I will share this one part, though. I do not get as frustrated as Carta with Violet.
Yeah.
But I do think that there are moments when I'm reading this book that I'm like, okay, what is she struggling with that makes her make these decisions? And I think my biggest complaint with her is her judgment. I think that she thinks that she's more intelligent than she is.
1000%. That's so fucking true.
I feel like a lot of times we're discussing this idea that she is like the smartest person in the room because she was supposed to be a scribe. And like, no hate to that. Like, okay, great. Like, I'm sure she's smarter
You're riling me
the
up.
than the average writers. But then you see her getting mad at Xaden for shit that she does to her friends. Or then you see her like have... And again, I think that you said this to me that I might be giving Rebecca a little bit more credit. I wonder if this is just her maturing.
No.
Okay. That's what I thought, but...
No. I think Violet has had so many opportunities to mature and has just breezed past it. And like, it's so stupid because like, if Rebecca Yarros ever watches this, she's gonna like ban me from looking at anything that she does. But like,
I don't think so.
I think so.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, she will. And like, if she ever were to see this, like, I am a fan of your books. I just feel like if you could just fix this, it would make it so much better. And maybe she wants it to be like this.
That's what I'm thinking.
But
maybe like her
why would you want to make a shitty character?
I know.
I feel like Rebecca Yarros is like trying to make Violet as fucking cool as possible. And like she's just got such a main character syndrome, dude. Such a main character. Like everything she does, everybody sweats her balls for everything. Everyone thinks Violet is the prettiest. She's fucking dated a prince, the fucking Duke of Tyrannodor. And then on top of that, he's the most powerful with the second most powerful dragon. Like, are you fucking kidding me? And then she's a lightning wielder, and she's this, and she's this.
She has 2 dragons.
And then she's the smartest, and she's the most powerful of her. Like, bitch, can something be wrong with you? And like, I know that she has her bones, that like technically that's her, she has a disability. But honestly, I was thinking about this. Her disability has not impacted her negatively in any way in the series in terms of like what she does. Because like, if you want to argue, like, that's not true because she has a saddle. I would want a fucking saddle too, okay?
Yeah, for real.
You're just fucking hanging off of a dragon? That shit is scary. I would want a saddle. So, like, honestly, lucky you. But then, like, okay, aside from the saddle, she still fights people, which in theory she shouldn't. She should be like a distance person. Like she should be like throwing knives from far away or like bows and arrows because you cannot take hits. Offense. And she's constantly on the offense. She's constantly fighting people, fist fighting. So it's like your disability doesn't affect you in that way. And then everything else is just like, oh, and she's the smartest. Oh, and she has all this power. Oh, and she's this. Oh, and she's that. So I just don't see her struggling literally in any capacity.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to fully disagree with that. I think that the intent, here's what I'm thinking, because I feel like in the first book, Fourth Wing, I think a lot of the conversation was around how small and frail she was. Yeah. Right? And I think that in Iron Flame, I didn't get that much of a vibe. Right. Right? It stopped
she did tone it down, yes.
Yeah, she toned it down. But then it became more like, and that's what I experienced in Onyx Storm was very much like she gets exhausted quicker than the others. She gets, like the things that don't bother the others, like pain-wise, or like exhaustion-wise, it's not there for the others, but it is for her. But again, aside from the fact that when they get to, what's his name? Viscount Icarus. Oh. Right? Where she was about to like Portland? Crawl up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like that's the only real time that we're like, she might collapse. But like, who cares? Like, you weren't in battle. Like, I don't understand why it was, okay, but anyway.
The thing is, like, yes, but I just feel like if she has this disability, we should be able to see like, okay, because of this, like, she can't do these things, and she still does them. And, like, and that's great that somebody that has a disability is able to keep doing things. For sure. But I just don't see, like, effects. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, she's tired, but, like, I don't see her, like, fainting. And I don't see her, like, because her brother's a fucking healer, she's always Gucci.
Oh, my God. Okay, that is actually a very big problem I have about this.
Like, okay, if we're gonna go this angle, then like you need to have a broken rib and you need to stay with that broken rib. Correct. And you need to like, or you know what, your arm is out of your socket and now like you cannot participate in certain things, and so now your plot is going this way because you can't do the dragon riding right now. You can't
do it right now. Okay, so I'm just gonna step aside from this theory that I had written down that's actually bothering me, which is I feel like at the beginning of Fourth Wing, the argument that she had with Dane was that like, don't treat me like aside from everybody else, like I need to be able to do this for myself and like get through this. And then like I don't think anyone's bringing up the fact that in Onyx Storm everybody is trying to baby her in a way. I think so. I feel like
in what capacity?
The Brennan part, it really pisses me off that her brother is a healer. Not that he's a healer, and that pisses me off, but what bothers me about this is that like Brennan being her brother means that he's always going to want to heal her, which makes me feel like you have a direct brother. And now that things are so weird with Aritia or whatever, and like they have more power, like she has access to a personal healer where 90% of the writers don't.
Right.
So it's almost like
this is kind of like, and J.K. Rowling said it in her books. She was like, I gave Harry the cloak of invisibility way too soon. And she was like, because it just let him be able to do shit that he shouldn't have been able to do all those things because it took away obstacles from the story. Yeah. So she was like, I regretted giving him that in the first book, whereas I should have probably given it to him in the 5th, 6th. Yeah. Because now, like, Harry's able to sneak out. He's able to do this, able to do that.
That's true.
And that's kind of like what's going on here, where Brennan is like this.
He's always there.
Yeah.
He always wants to be there. And like him and Xaden are constantly like, someone needs to heal her at all times. And so I don't love that. I don't love her personal access. I don't like her personal access to a healer in that way, or a mender, right? That's the right word, a mender. Because I feel like it takes away from her struggle. And I think that it kind of creates again, out of balance character. Like,
she's so OP that it's ridiculous.
Everything that happens to you, it just usually gets fixed by your brother, or you don't get hurt, and you're the most powerful and you have the two. Like, I just feel like there is a lack of balance in this specific character.
Yeah, I'll go in now.
So you're gonna go in now?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have like 5 problems with her, but the main 2 are entitlement and hypocrisy. I think she's an extremely entitled character. And when I say entitled, I mean like she does things that are not her place to do, and she feels like she can and has to do them because it's her right. And I'll give you an example. Onyx Storm, the very first fucking thing this girl does is go to the word stone and alter it. After her mother just sacrificed herself and her dragon and killed herself, essentially, to, like, give it power so that the dragons could, like, imbue it, whatever, and protect Basigath Aretia.
Yeah.
So, literally, not even, maybe, like, 2-3 months ago, your mom did that. And you're already like, let me tamper with this stone, even though I don't know anything about runes. Nothing. Even though I'm a fucking 20-year-old little stupid bitch.
Like, I'm a cadet, I'm
a second-year cadet. I'm not a lieutenant. I'm not a soldier. I'm not a general.
Yep.
I'm a fucking second year. I'm not even a third year. And I think that I have the right to go to this word stone and change it. Porque me da la gana.
Yep. Not only that, but, like, the big point in Iron Flame and Onyx Storm is that she sucks at runes.
I mean, and then, look, I like Mira, but, like, I'm sorry, bitch.
I'm a Mira fan.
I am too, but like, I'm sorry. You're not gonna tell me like, first of all, there's no research on this shit, and Mira just magically finds something, and she's like, I think this will work, and we're like, let's do it.
I know it's they're playing around with very serious things in like a very,
and she does this all the time.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
I think Iron Flame. She was like, I'm gonna look through the library for everything I can find about Venom, I think it was at the time. Yeah. And she didn't tell wards. Okay, wards. And she didn't tell Xaden.
Right.
And like, hello, if you get caught, guess what happens, bitch? Your friend Dane, he goes to that school. All he has to do is touch you and find out what the fuck you've been doing. And you're gonna fuck everything up for everyone. She does shit that's not her place to do. If she was the leader of the rebellion and she was like, I'm gonna look up this shit in the archives and I don't give a shit if I get caught, that's one thing. You're not even in the rebellion. You're not in it.
Right.
So like, who are you to be doing shit like this?
It must, and it's so frustrating, I feel, because I feel like it's almost like you get a boyfriend and your purpose becomes his purpose, and he's like, now I'm the leader of your purpose.
Yeah, it's like,
and
what
it's
the
like,
fuck?
What?
And then like, oh my God, she just pisses me off so much with this because she does it for everything. And it's like, with Xaden, where she was like, it's over until you tell me all your secrets. Bitch, I will tell you my secrets, but the rebellion, no. You know why? Because there's so many people involved in this. It's not your business. It's not. It is not your business. No. It's like if I were like, to my partner, if I was like, hey, I want to know everything about your job. Every single thing.
From the second you get there.
And he's like, okay, but like, I'm not going to break it down for you like that because first of all, you're not going to understand it. Second of all, like there's other elements in there. There's confidentiality because I'm a lawyer or whatever. Yep. And I can't discuss these things. And I was, well, I need a divorce then because you need to tell me everything. How unreasonable is that? And then the fact that she just thinks that she's entitled to have such a like large, scary chunk of information that could literally kill multiple people. Yeah. And then when he doesn't give it to her and he's like, hey, I will tell you whatever you want about me, just ask.
Like, what is it that you want to know?
Yeah. She's like, nope, full disclosure. Like, what the fuck is your problem? Full disclosure what? Full disclosure what? And also, you haven't told me shit about you. I don't know anything about you. And we've not even been dating for a month. Not even a month.
I know.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know.
So I hate her entitlement, and she does this with everything. The way that she went into this, I think it's Centennium or Serenium. The group.
Scenarium.
It's the group of people.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm illiterate. Like, I don't know how to pronounce anything, so just
hold on, because
keep that in mind.
I wish we could. I can't believe. Okay, go ahead.
What?
That I was gonna be like, let me open my Kindle, but I have no idea where I put it, so it's fine.
Okay. The group of people with
Scenarium, I think.
Scenarium, the one that Prince Harold, is that his name?
Halden.
Yeah, Harold. Prince Halden becomes like the leader of eventually that group with Xaden. He's in it. So she going into that room was like, I have my list of demands, and if they don't listen to me, well, I'm not going. And she's like, these are all the things I want. And they were like, hilarious. No, your group is gonna be led by this person, and you guys are going here. And she's like incredulous. Like she's like, I cannot believe this. And it's like,
really?
You're a second again.
Really?
You haven't graduated, and you're already making. Who are you? Who are you?
I know.
The way I would have bitch slapped her, or when she goes to King Cortland, and she's like, "This is what we're gonna do. My dragon's gonna eat your little tiger.
Yeah.
Unless this and this and that." I would have been like, "Eat that motherfucker," and then kill her. Like I would have been like, "Yeah, okay, yes, let's do this treaty. Okay, yeah, okay. Your little fucking dragon that go off my kill her." Like I would have just. I cannot believe that these people just let her do whatever she wants, and they all just like take it.
Well, and this is the point. This is where I have a we're gonna get into the whole dragon thing after and like what they're really up to. But again, I think the only reason this is being allowed is because of Tairn.
But who cares?
Yeah, but remember, most of the people at this table and most of the people in this book are bonded to dragons that are below Tairn.
Okay.
So like she is nothing, right? Like she's just a cadet. There's people that have been in this government or whatever for years, and there is a hierarchy through their power. But because Tairn is like basically a general, or like the number 2 most powerful dragon in the book, in the continent, whatever, which is very interesting when they say continent. Are there more dragons elsewhere aside from the Isles? I don't know. It's a thing. It's a theory. But I think that because he is that person, I almost wonder if the rest of the people that have more power in the human realm are more like, my dragon says to shut up because her dragon might eat me.
I feel...
I don't know.
Okay, here's the thing. Like, I understand that in the sense when it comes to like, okay, kill her kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Which obviously I'm dramatic, and I for sure would because I'm unhinged. I'd be like, kill her. But
yeah, I don't think we should have dragons.
no, I would.
Like,
there's a reason that I was born into this life, and it's because
not there.
I cannot have a dragon. I would be a menace. But I feel like you don't need to go that far. You could just be like, Violet, no. And then if you know what, honey, if you don't want to come on this quest, sit the fuck down. We'll go look for the dragons by yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But nobody does that, and I don't think it has to do with Tairn being like this big bad. I think it has to do with Rebecca Yarros just making Violet like she's like almost trying to force her being a badass on me, and it's not working because the way she comes off when I read this shit is like, you're a little shit. You don't know anything, and you're walking around swaggering around like you're this hot ass piece of shit. Literally, the only thing powerful about you is your dragons. That is it. When Tairn gets knocked out, this bitch is defenseless and powerless, and she's like, fuck, I'm fucked. And she's like, I threw all my daggers, what am I gonna do now? So like, you are not a powerful person. You don't come from
even Kat
titles.
Even Kat says it at one point. She's like, you're scary with your lightning. But
and then here we go. You see what I mean? Where everybody's sucking her dick. Kat, who has a perpetual hatred for her, is gonna sweat her that her it would be a fucking cold day in hell if I hated your ass. That I would tell you, oh, this is actually really cool about you.
Yeah.
Like, even the people that hate her sweat her, and it's so annoying because it's like, why can't we have one character who's just like, Violet, shut the fuck up?
Like, seriously.
The entitlement with her siblings, where like Mira and Brennan are allowed to have a relationship of their own without you. So 100%. If they want to bicker as much as they want, who are you to come in and tell her, Mira, I know you just found out that he's alive and that like we've been lied to for years and Dad died of grief because of it, but like, stop. The way I would have fucking mollywopped her, I would have been like, I don't know who the fuck you think you are, Mahon. See that? You're younger than me. You're my little sister. Shut your mouth. The adults are talking
like
right now.
The youngest one.
Who are you?
Do we not know? We need to figure out. Does Rebecca have older siblings?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I feel like the way that family dynamics are set up is like, I don't care. I have like so many younger siblings and I'm like...
It just doesn't make sense. She acts like the king of the family. of her school, of everything. She just acts like she is the big bad of everything. Like,
and that's your entitlement life.
Yeah. She doesn't respect orders. They're like, hey, stay here. She's like, I'm going to the front. Like, bitch, oh my God, court-martial her. What the fuck? Take away her. Like, okay, you can't kill her because of Tairn. Fine. Then be like, you know what? You flunked. You're not graduating. You're not going to be a part of the military. You and your dragon could go fuck yourselves. You can go do whatever you want, but you are not going to be in the military because you have done all of these infractions.
It's the thing.
You're a liability.
Like, correct. There's actually something. Well, I'll get into that later because I was going to be like, there was a specific quote that this reminds me of. Well, I'll just say it. There is a part, and I think I'm jumping around, but I'm making a point. There's a part where it says something like, battles are lost by our weakest warriors. And
by the Soaring Gale.
And two people say this in this book. So it says, Theophany says this, and so does the priestess in Dune.
Okay.
And I picked up on, during my second read, like my reread, I picked up on both of them saying this. And I'm like, I don't understand why this was said in this way, other than like, if they lose, it's because she's not following orders. It's because she is the weakest warrior in heart.
In many ways, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yes. I get what you're saying, yes.
In many ways, but I almost feel like it just keeps on coming back because I feel like one of the goals in this book is to kind of keep driving home that, okay, so so something about this book, it keeps driving home that, even in the aisles or in other moments, there is a consistent, like, she is the weakest. She's always, like, underestimated, blah, 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 blah. But then I'm almost kind of like, but people overestimate her.
They do.
Right? Like, people that know her.
Right.
And how can you still just allow her to just be? Like, you can't follow directions. And the thing is, like, an army is so much more important than its strongest champion.
Yep.
It has to be a group effort. It has to be something. And I almost feel like that was the vibe that they were trying to give at the end. And even then, like...
she fucked up.
She fucked up.
Like, here's one of the things that, like, I'm like, you're such an unreasonable character. Like, that's one of the other things that bothers me about her. She's just so unreasonable.
Yeah.
Because, like, even when they're like, okay, Mira has been captured... Listen to me. If somebody catches my sister, sorry, village full of innocent people, I right now have blinders on because I'm like, I'm saving my sister and I don't give a fuck about anything else because it's my sister. And
Correct.
she's like, we need to save Mira. We need to save the whole city. And what was the other thing?
I have to kill Theophany.
And I have to kill Theophany. 3 things. And they're like, Violet, you are one person. You can pick one thing. And she's like, no, all of them. And Brennan is
why does she keep getting a choice? Is the question that I keep asking myself. Like, and that's what bothers me about. Okay, I'm going to go into that after because if not, we're going to continue this forever. You finish and then I'll continue.
It just bothers me how, like, she's not a reasonable character. Even with Xaden, when, like, when she was like, I need full disclosure, and he was like, I will give you full disclosure on me, but like you're not entitled to everybody. I can't tell you because your best friend is Dane, and all he has to do is touch you, and that's it. Everything is fucked for me. And she's like, no, you need to tell me, knowing full well that Dane is her wing leader now, that Dane is like has every intention of repairing his friendship with her, and she's just like, you need to tell me. She's just unreasonable.
Yeah.
Okay, let me wrap up with Violet because I don't want to be doing this for like an hour.
Okay.
There's no accountability for her, which bothers me. And I don't really think I need to give more examples than what I've already given, but literally,
agreed.
Like when they go to the Isles and she commits treason, and then they come back and they're like, it's okay because Cam is alive, so we forgive you. No, put her in a cell, take away her TV, like something. Like, I think that's one of the problems with her is that she's never had any accountability for anything. Yeah. So she just continues to run wild and do whatever the hell she wants.
I'm even going to bring up a point that you didn't finish because I think we got into something else where you said about the word stone. Like, first of all, I found that decision really poor because your mom died for this.
She sacrificed herself in front of your eyes.
She died for this. And then, like, I found it so unreasonable that the older siblings were like, you're going to do this? We'll do it with you. Like, I have younger siblings. I'll be like, I have a million questions before I let your ass in this door.
How about my new home is the Wordstone. I'm gonna sit here for the rest of my life to make sure you don't do some stupid shit.
And it just bothers me that, like, even before you knew that she was gonna do this, she talks about it. She's like, we're committing treason. You know this is not good. And you continue to do it. And then what bothers me the most is, like, you're doing it so that for what you think is the best outcome, which is the Flyers get to stay and they get to wield. I'm sorry. Did we forget how in Iron Flame that was what they're going to lose to ward the place? Do you remember that part? In Iron Flame, she was like, I know how to bring up the wards, but the wards are not going to let the Flyers have powers. They were just fine and dandy doing it then.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like that was it, they were like venin right at the door, so it's kind of like I kind of have to do it.
But there's still venin right at the door. That's what bothered the venin were in the college like 5 pages after. Yeah. You know, so it's like, what do you mean? Like,
I just feel like
maybe that's a plot hole.
No, and there's a lot of them in my opinion. Yeah. I just feel like she doesn't.
And then she goes in to the Centurium, and they're like, not good, but now we can.
But
like,
technically, okay.
It's anybody
that has seen anything with any type of government, and I'm not smart with politics at all, I know, like, if you get away with it, they're going to be like, see, okay, we'll find something else, honey. Yep. And guess what? We're going to give you the highest penalty for what you ripped a piece of paper that technically was like, like military property, 74 years in prison. Like, they would get her for something else, but they don't.
Something, but
they don't. She's never punished. So lack of accountability, entitlement, hypocrisy. Oh,
we don't even have to dive into that one, but
I'm just going to touch on it. I'm just going to touch on it. Dane and Xaden. That's all I need to say. Dane was your friend, your childhood friend since
forever,
for years,
20 years.
Years. You have known Xaden for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And okay, what Dane did was fucked up, and I agree, and I would have tremendous issues with that. I don't think I could forgive it personally, but that goes the other way too. Once you find out that Xaden was reading your intentions, that would have been it for me. The same way it would have been it for me with Dane, it would have been it with me for Xaden.
Correct.
But no. She's like, even though you read my intentions, and because of that, we started having sex, we got in a relationship, and now I'm entangled in all of this disaster because I love you.
Yes. It's
because
entanglement.
Of my love for you. And it all comes down to you were reading my intentions.
Yep.
And it wasn't once. Like, please, get the fuck out of here. It was not once.
Well, that's what he says, right? He's like, I stopped reading your intentions after you kissed me.
Yeah, bullshit.
The first time.
Bullshit. Get the fuck out of here.
I know. I'm like...
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Listen, I feel like that... okay. Maybe she is writing this in the sense that we're trying to believe that, but in a human nature, if he says how hard it is for him not to read her intentions because of the bond, and she just kind of hurls her intentions down the bond, you're going to tell me he doesn't know a little bit more?
Even if you're not reading it, you know even if you're not trying, she's throwing them at you.
Exactly. If you're not even trying, that's fine. But also, come on. So I completely agree with you. I think I struggle a lot with the double... What's that word?
Double standard?
The double standard.
Yeah.
With Dane. And to be honest, like, Dane annoyed me the first book, which I think was
the
purpose.
Yeah.
But the second that he, like, I was, like, done finding him annoying. The second that he went down to that chamber.
Yes.
And, like, the second he did that, I'm like, and it bothered me so much that even a little bit after, she was like, my relationship with Dane is still testy. Like, why?
Yeah, and then
literally
the
why?
Thing is, like, yeah, he was annoying as fuck, and it was fucked up that he did that. But, dude, he's my dad. Like, I believe my father. So if my 100%. Father is like, hey, like, you need to tell me this and that, it's for her safety.
Yep.
And you have been a reckless idiot this entire book, because she was in Fourth Wing extremely reckless. Then
she's been reckless.
She continues to be reckless. But, like, from his perspective, like, his frail friend who was going to be a scribe, she was very, like,
what is she doing here?
I get why he was scared. Did he go overboard? Yes. But if the moment he sees that this dude beat the shit out of you, and you know how much of a stickler for the rules that he is, and he kills him, I'd be like, maybe I should rethink this. And then you come to find out that Xaden read your intentions, I would be like, you know what?
And it bothers me. It bothers me so much that he is in Aritia I don't even know if we're saying that right, but it bothers me that he's there and he's trying to fix, like, it makes me want to cry. Like, he's there, he's trying to fix things with her. He's like left his home, left his dad, and he's like in a whole other world basically.
Because he's doing what's right,
and
helping
she's
her,
still ignoring him.
And then
only talks to him
every single time she needs him, he's there,
right there.
And it's been more than once. I think it's been at least 2-3 times that she's been like, "Dane, I need you," and he's there, and she is still like,
and he says it. He's like, "Always. I'll always be here for you."
And still,
she just takes it for granted. She takes it for granted.
She takes everyone for granted, including 100%. Tairn.
Oh, let's not even
we'll
get there
into that
yet.
later. But that's the gist of it. Okay. Lack of accountability or superiority.
We might have gone a little bit over.
Yeah, we're gonna
discussing
have to
Violet.
But I have a lot of issues with her.
Yeah.
I find her to be such a flawed character in not a good way, and I love flawed characters. I love it when characters struggle.
We do.
But I just feel like she has no maturity. There's no growth in her other than like her power. She just keeps getting more and more powerful. But like there's no character progression or mental growth or like I feel like she's had so many opportunities to grow, like with the death of her mother or like the trauma that she's experienced with both of the battles, the one in Bazagath and the one in the end of Fourth Wing. Like those are traumatic events that like she almost died. Her brother is alive. Like these are all things that could have made her a better person, and instead she just compartmentalizes it
older
and continues to get more and more ballsy.
More ballsy with less experience. I feel
dumber decisions. She gets dumber.
She gets
it's
dumber.
She's supposed to be the smartest.
She's getting dumber. I know. It's almost like I don't know what she's up like.
I don't understand how you can go to an island where there's a girl with your exact hair color and not be like, question.
And no, but I read some part of this like recently when I was finishing up like our outline, and I was like, even she's like, I have to know, I need to know.
But you didn't ask anything.
And then you leave.
You literally were like, thanks, bye.
You ask nothing. I'm like, so this is something that I want to talk about really quick because I feel like, can we move on from that for a second?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I want to enter the segment before we enter the segment of what our thought is overall about the book, and like our favorites parts and stuff. I want to enter kind of like what I'm confused about, right? I wanted to discuss a little bit about like the things that I'm confused about, and that was one of the things with Violet. It's that she doesn't ask anything. Like, she has all these questions, and then I'm thinking, oh, maybe when, like, they're not in a life or death scenario, she's going to go back and, like, research it and whatever. And I know they're in the middle of a war. Maybe she doesn't have time. But she does. Because, like, 3 days after everything, she's, like, back in college going to class. So one of the things that bothers me is, why is it that she notices this thing with her hair? And the word dedicated comes up like a million times until she finds out that, they did or I don't even remember, but they did or they didn't dedicate her.
They tried to dedicate her,
but it didn't complete it.
Yeah, I think that the priest was like, oh no, because her path can go one of two ways, so you can't do it.
Yeah, okay. But then these are a couple things that, like, we never understood. Why is Violet the only one that has the connection to her dragons when there's no magic? Why can no one else talk to their dragons? Which I do have a couple theories on. And I think that there was a point where even Xaden seems to talk to Sigil, but maybe no one picked up on that.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, there was a point where they're in right after the fight in Dune. And
was it when he's like, I know you want to eat her?
Yes.
That'll cause like political issues.
So I'm like, is he reading into her?
I thought he was just like, I know you and I know what that means.
That's what I was thinking too.
You might be right.
You never know. That was one thing that kind of confused me. And then why would she definitely used lightning. Like there's no way.
Of course.
So why does she have power there?
Because she's Violet.
Yes. But again, I almost feel like I know, and people have this argument, and honestly, I've seen this.
I think it's because of Andarna. That's what I think.
Okay, I like that.
Because she's an Irid and like.
Yep, and then she's
bonded to her, so she continues to like defy the bond, I guess.
Yes, but then would that give her access to Tairn's power too? Because they're all
because
bonded?
Andarna is bonded to Tairn and Violet together. Like, it's the three of them.
Yeah.
So I think, I could be wrong, and I'm an idiot, so I might be.
Yeah,
but
no, I don't think so.
I thought it was because of Andarna, because the Irids are able to talk to each other, and in fact, they're able to talk to whoever they want.
And then, I mean, they made a whole life in an isle that obviously has magic for them. So
yeah, but
that's
continue
true.
with your thought process, because I want to know where you were going with that.
God knows where I was going with that.
You were like, why is it that she's able to, like, talk to her dragons? And that was lightning for sure. So why is she able to wield, and why is she able to communicate with her dragons on the Isles? Do you have theories? Did you have theories of, like, why?
At first, I thought it was because she's Violet. But then you brought that up. So I'm like, now I'm thinking, like, why is that still something that is allowed, though? Like, why is it just because Andarna? If Andarna... Wait, so does that mean that the 7th breed has magic everywhere in this world?
I read that the 7th breed takes magic from the sky, and that the other dragons take it from the earth. And that's why when they leave the continent, since they're taking the magic from the continent, the dragons can't communicate with each other or their riders. But Andarna takes magic from the sky, so she's able to communicate with Violet and Violet with Tairn. But I don't know how that came about. Like, I saw it somewhere and it made sense, and they were referencing these clues that they read in the book about it. But I don't have like because they say this in chapter whatever.
Yep. Okay.
So I think it's because of Andarna. And the reason that I think it's because of Andarna is because Leonard the dragon.
I hate that name.
I don't know his name.
What is that
Leothard or whatever.
Yeah.
Leopold, whatever the hell that fucking dragon's name is. The Irid. He talks to Andarna, and close to the end of Onyx Storm, he's like, break the bond. And she's like, I can't. He was like, you can. You're Irid. You are an exception to things like this. He was like, who did she bond with at first? And she was like, Tairn. And he was like, yeah. And then tu te medite, like, you inserted yourself into that bond. You altered it.
Yeah, and that's so important, I feel.
Yeah.
Because even Theophany asks it, like, right when she meets her.
What does she ask?
Theophany asked her, who did you bond first?
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, that was like right when Tairn was knocked out.
Can we talk about how much of a letdown the Theophany plot was?
Such a letdown.
She was obsessively stalking Violet.
And we don't even know why.
I want to say like a full book and change.
Yeah.
And we never find out why.
And then she dies.
Yeah. What the hell?
I know. Well, that was actually the point I was going to make right now, which is I understand that people are arguing that this is the 3rd book in a 5-book series and we're not supposed to know everything. But I feel like we don't know a lot.
I think the problem is that Rebecca throws a lot of random shit at you and then uses some of it and doesn't use others of it. And I think she does it for the purpose of confusing you so that you can't like really guess the full story, right? But then what it does is that it leaves a lot of plot holes. So it's kind of like...
Yes.
Like, okay. Segue in. With that in mind, like the plot holes, what the fuck was the point of Violet's father's books? What did they do? Not a single thing. Not one thing. Other than be like... there's more books for you in the Isles.
Yeah.
Which she was already feeling like she needed to go to anyways.
Yes, which either way, just honestly, I feel like she leaves a lot of clues to what could be more important later. But like in reality, what did we get from these books is mainly like clues as to how to deal with each Isle. Is that the right word? How do you say is that?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Isle, yeah, I think
so. I don't get that plot hole either.
Somebody online was like, I got a whole lot of nothing from this book. Like, they were like, what did we accomplish? Literally not a single thing. And it's kind of true, but I also don't feel like every book that you read has to accomplish something. No. So I don't have that problem with this book. And honestly, of the 3 books, this one was my favorite.
Yeah, I love this book. I really did. And I think it doesn't translate to the way we're talking about it, but
I liked it a lot.
Okay, I loved it.
Yeah, I
did. I loved it. I loved this book because I feel like I got to see a lot of struggle. Like, we're never going to compare to your favorite.
No, I know. But I do agree with you on this.
I did see a lot of struggle on Xaden's part.
Yes.
I think.
And I enjoyed it.
Violet didn't get everything she wanted.
Yeah.
And I think that was a struggle enough. In one sense or another. I did love this book because I feel like especially when you reread it and you know what's going to happen and you see the way Xaden kind of little by little, like you can see him losing hope.
Yeah.
And it just crushes you and it just makes you feel things. So I loved it. But it's not without criticism. I think that's what we're here for. But
I think that of the 3 books, it was my favorite.
Yeah.
I really did enjoy watching Xaden go through it because it's such a stark contrast from his normal personality where he's very cocky, very like
confident.
He's very sure of himself, confident.
Yep.
He doesn't like you never see
He knows how to back it up.
Yeah, you never see him doubt himself.
Never.
And in this, and he's always like, whatever you want, Violet, which is super annoying. But in this book, he's like, no. And she begs and she pleads and she does her whole little Violet tantrum shit. And he's still like, the answer is no. And he leaves. And it's like the first time that you see Violet not getting what she wants.
Yep.
Not throwing a tantrum, still not getting it. And then like being like, okay, forget it. Just like, never mind then. And continuing to try.
Yes. And one thing that I loved about it was honestly that like prior to this, he has always been super powerful and he has always been like access to his power at full force because he knows that he has it. And now he has even more power, but he doesn't know how to use it because he doesn't want to get in trouble with becoming, so I feel like he feels even more powerful.
And more powerless.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
Which is so sad, but I love that.
What part really made my heart crack?
Yeah.
Was when I think they were in Tyranidor already, or they were about to go there, and he like walks out of the room with Llewellyn. Who? What? I don't know because there's like 4 Llewellyns.
Is it a place or a person?
Bro, this is so ridiculous. Llewellyn comes out, and then he comes out, and Violet's like trying to talk to him about something, and then right behind him, this mystery person named Lynx that suddenly we're supposed to know who he is, starts developing shadow powers. And then she's like, wait, what? But that's once in a generation. And then he goes, well, balance, love. Like, the magic knows. And it's like such a sad moment where it's like...
And he was so out of character, too. He was so nice to him.
Yeah.
He was like...
control it, breathe.
The shadows are trying to protect you.
It was so sad because it's like right before that happened, Violet's trying to convince him like you can't give up. We're gonna cure you, and then it's almost like the world being like, you're not gonna cure him, and he is a venom now, and now he's no longer good, and he's gonna get worse because when that happens, it kind of like just seals the deal for him, and he's like, I'm leaving. And it was one of those things where Violet gave him an ultimatum when normally he buckles, where she's like, you need to be here. Or else. And he's like, I left. Like, he leaves. And he's just like, fuck your or else, because I'm not with it.
It's just like, you know what also made me upset? And we're not going to get into the Violet turmoil. We can in another moment. But it almost bothers me that he was in such low spirits. And, like, he knew where he was going to get to. He knew he was going to become full venom. And, like, he's... prioritizing her feelings instead of her really being there for him.
You know what? I never even thought about that.
Like, instead of being like, how can I just be quiet and just listen to him? Instead of like shoving down that I'm going to cure you.
That's a good point.
So he's literally been alone. I feel like he was alone the entire book.
That's so sad. I really enjoyed reading through her perspective Xaden's struggle because... you can see him going through it without having, like, his point of view or a third, like, an outsider's point of view. You could see through her eyes how he's going through it.
Yep.
And I loved it. You see how, as the book goes, he starts shutting her out more. And even though she's like, let me in. Normally, he'd be like, okay. He's like, no. And he keeps it even tighter. And I loved that. Because for him to be doing that, you know that he's struggling.
Yep.
I loved it. And the way that he's, like, trying to train Bodhi and be like, you are going to take over.
I know. That's
and
another
Bodhi's
thing.
fighting back.
Yeah.
And I feel like part of why Bodhi is fighting back so much is because like
he
he's
doesn't
like,
wanna let it
if
go.
I know, if I give into this, you are gonna become
give
Venom,
up. Yeah.
and I lose you
For sure.
And that's so sad too.
It is.
This book was great for Xaden, in my opinion, even though he's great in all the books. But this one for him was 10 out of 10.
Great. Yeah. No. And I feel like also one thing that I feel like is, I don't know if her intention is to give us more Xaden POV, because we have been robbed of his POV through this. We have been robbed of his POV, not only because of like the shit he's going through, but also like as the book progresses, his power progresses. So at one point we know that he's actually reading direct thoughts. We know that like he's reading actual thoughts. He's not reading intentions anymore. So like I would love to see him recognize, oh shit, like that's not an intention, that's a thought. And now I'm reading everybody's thoughts. And like, what does that mean?
Well,
Who did you
I feel
read?
like any perspective we get from him now is going to be so different because of what happens in the end of Onyx Storm, which this whole episode is a spoiler if you haven't seen Onyx Storm. I don't know
seriously,
why the fuck
why are
you're
you here
still. But at the end, he turns Asim. Is that how you say it?
Asim? Yeah.
Whatever.
Who knows?
He turns into the second level of Venom, and it's kind of like there's no going back now. And even he feels himself like he's not himself anymore. Like he feels detached, and Skal is still kind of like she's looking at him and not destroying him, which I don't understand, but okay. And she's like, Violet's not gonna want to see you, or like Tairn's not gonna let you near her like that. And like you see that his humanity is kind of gone though. Like he's not like, Violet, my love. Like he's more like, let me just ask then. You know, like he's like he doesn't care.
Different tone.
He's just not Xaden anymore. And you could see it in the last like 2-3 pages. Yeah. How it, like his humanity is leaving.
Yeah.
So anything we read for him now is going to be with that tone.
I know. I know. I wonder, I hope she does give Onyx Storm POV for me.
I think she will. I think she'll give us at least a chapter.
I think so. Okay, so just to finish up what I'm confused about, I'm just going to bring up 2 more things. Again, we already brought this up. Like, I don't understand what Violet and Xaden are so important. Like, the only thing we know is that Theophanie's trying to bring her to her boss, basically, instead of Berwyn. And I feel like, what's the end point? We don't know that, and that kind of annoys me because we're in the 3rd book. Like, we should at least know, like, what their goal is, you know?
Okay, yeah. Can I give you something that confuses me?
Yeah.
How are we still in our 2nd year at the end of the 3rd book?
I don't get it.
That was just a little, why are we still here? But okay.
I agree.
Like, I would have expected her to graduate in this book, but okay.
Literally. And then I am upset that I don't know anything about Mira's life. Like, I'm upset that we keep giving into, like, Mira did this. Mira is obviously upset.
Yeah.
Mira's upset. And, like, Mira is going through it.
Justifiably so.
100%.
Which I loved this for Mira and Violet. Like, I loved how this book, she's kind of like, fuck you to Violet. And she's like, so Dad left you these manuscripts, basically.
Like, why are you so important?
Only Violet can read. And I know why. Obviously, he was training her to be a scribe. But it's like, I feel kind of like Mira's like, dude, so what else, bro? Like, what else, Violet? What else is just for you?
I know.
You know? And I liked that. I liked it's real. It's real. Sibling jealousy exists, especially when one sibling is like preferred or just has like a better relationship with one parent. Yeah. And like, we see Mira being so whatever you want, whatever you say, Violet, for 3 books. Or 2.5. That when she does have that shift, I'm like, okay, yes, like this is realistic. This is what I want. And I appreciated that from her.
This is the shift. This is what I thought of when I saw that shift, right? Prior to 4th Wing, her entire life, Mira has seen Violet as this weak little sister that has never amounted to anything powerful, and that her mom treats like shit. And so she kept that vibe going. Like, this is my little sister that I must protect, and she's kind of dumb, or whatever it is. And I feel like that was how she saw her and her mother's relationship too. Like, Mira was the preferred one. So now when her parents are dead, everything that's leading them through this journey is kind of Violet is preferred. But that's not how it was for most of her life.
Yeah.
So I think it's hitting her like, of course you get this, of course you get that, you know? But it bothers me that I don't get anything. Like, I think that there's a couple things that are kind of bothering me. And again, I feel like I might have more info once I like reread the other ones. But what is up with that bracelet? What is up with that bracelet where like...
Was anything... the only thing I remember about the bracelet was that it was what Violet was able to identify as like, you went to go see grandma.
Yep. It said on page, I don't remember what page it was, but it said, Mira asks, rotating a beaded bracelet of what looks like black tourmaline on her wrist. Not work, catches Violet's eyes holding the metallic beads, tickles her brain, and she can smell parchment.
I don't know what the significance of the bracelet is.
I don't know either.
I can't really theorize.
The not work makes me think it's kind of a rune.
Is this the dad's mom or the mom's mom?
This is dad's mom.
Okay.
Which I found out after my reread.
Okay.
Which, again, I'm confused about this, and I wish I would have gotten more interest in this, but I don't have any specific theories. But we do know that Violet's parents stopped talking to Grandma. Grandma didn't leave them.
Well, but we find out why, because they went to go dedicate her, and she was like, what the fuck? How could you?
Yeah.
But it's interesting that Brennan is so pissed about it when it's like...
Everything about Brennan is sus.
I don't trust him. I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. And I think he's such a, like, shitty character, honestly. Yeah. Like...
He doesn't even he does not give
I think his existence makes everybody else's life easier right now. I don't know if he's going to be... I don't know if he's secretly Venom, but right now, all he serves to do is make Violet's life easier... Xaden's foil for Mira and Violet. Like, I don't think he has anything on his own. Like, he's not a standalone character, in my opinion.
No. I think he does. I think he's an empty character.
If he doesn't turn out to be a villain, he's gonna have been the most pointless character in this book.
Yeah, I agreed.
Because they make such a big deal of Brennan in the first book, and then the book of Brennan and the book of, and then you find out he's alive, and Brennan is just irrelevant. Like,
he's just mid.
Yeah, he's like, less than mid. He's like, what are you even doing here? Go home.
Yeah. I want to kind of step into our favorite parts and our most shocking parts.
Okay.
You can pick one or two of each. But I'm going to start this off because I feel like the most shocking parts for me, which I remember being like, whoa. I think I have three. Number one, I do think it was shocking when Xaden received the plate of his captain decapitated. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that did surprise me. I know,
that surprised me. I'm like, okay. So I can definitely see that Rebecca gave us a little bit more oomph, you know. The second one was, hold on, I have it here. Where did I put it? Xaden's mom. Xaden's mom kind of shocked me. It kind of shocked me. I knew that she was going to come into this. I just didn't know it was going to be like that. And it's another heartbreaking moments for me. Hedotus, that island was just heartbreaking for me.
Honestly,
like when he noticed.
It was infuriating to me.
Yeah.
Not heartbreaking. It was more.
I guess, yeah, both for me. When he notices that, or when he says like, "Oh, she gave me birthday cake and then never left," I'm like, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
And then when he notices that he has little brothers.
That part pulled at my heartstrings.
Yeah, that was bad. So that was my second shocking moment. And then I think my third shocking moment was Traeger dying.
Okay, yes.
Wow,
yes,
I was like,
I agree.
Damn.
And it sucks because Kat had just started dating him, and I was like, finally, get off my ass, and now he's dead. Yeah. And I feel like she's such a tough ass. I don't really have an opinion over Kat. Like, I don't like or hate her. If it was me, she'd be dead. Same. But I'm unhinged, so obviously. But yeah. I don't dislike her or like her. I have no feelings towards her. However, it did make me feel like bad for her when she's like had this like quest for Xaden this whole time.
Sorry, I had a bug.
We hit each other.
God.
She's been on this quest for Xaden for so long, and obviously for just like hierarchy reasons, because she wanted to marry into blah blah blah.
Yep.
But that's what she wanted, and she's like constantly like having to deal with Violet. And then finally she finds somebody that like she's like, okay, wait, I have feelings for this guy, and she starts like making progress on her own.
Yep.
And then he gets shot in the arrow on a fucking
and no
Wheel
one
of
can
Fortune
react.
game.
No one can react. No one can react. You have to be thankful.
That's insane.
First,
you know, so many people have been like, when Dane gets slapped, that they were like, Xaden was probably cracking up at that shit.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny when you think about it, how they slapped him and he had just to be like, thanks.
Yeah. So those were my most shocking moments. I think my favorite parts, is just like the way that he loves her.
Yeah, he is so sweet to her.
He's so sweet to her. It's so out of character, but he's also the more hope and I feel like some people have pointed this out, but I had formed this thought like as I was rereading it either way, which was the more hope he's losing, the more he loves her out loud.
Yeah.
Like the more
vocal
that's
so sad.
I know.
That's so tragic.
It's so tragic because the more he's like, I've got nothing to lose and I've got nothing. I need her to remember, because like he's stopping. He's like little by little he is losing who he is. He's losing love. Which is like another like why is he, which was so funny to me. For me, one of the moments also was he went from calling her violence to like V and love.
I didn't notice that he was calling her V.
I think
that was actually a really good point. Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Do you have any more favorite parts?
No, I think that's the majority of it. I just feel like it was more sad. I felt more sad in this book, which was good. Which is good because it invoked emotion.
Yeah.
Right? But I do think that I was sad.
Mostly over Xaden?
Not even. I actually had a lot of sadness around Sigil, if that's how you say it too.
I think it's Scal, but I don't know how people say it.
I don't know either. But I feel like at first I was annoyed that I barely got any information. Like okay, don't get me wrong. In the first couple books, it's not like she talks a lot, but I wanted more.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like there was so many moments where he was like, she's not answering me or she's not talking to me. And I'm like, okay, you know, it's its thing. But then going into theories, at the end of the book, do you think that they broke the mate between Tairn and Sigil?
I don't know what's leading you to
so
say
there's
that.
There's a point in the book where she says, you know, what's it called? She tells, Tairn is not going to let you anywhere near her in her vulnerable state. And Xaden's like, well, I have to do this, so I might as well just try.
Yeah.
And then she's like, they have a plan going, for sure. But the next thing we know is that 12 hours later, her mind has been wiped. And Andarna tells Violet that Tairn is
sleeping.
And
then she reaches
and like
out for
recovering. But he was fine before the 12-hour gap.
Well, didn't something happen with Theophany that like she had to get off?
Well, he got out of it.
Yeah, but he was like fucked up, no? I
You
thought
think?
okay. The 12 hours, obviously some shit went down there.
Yeah.
So him recovering, I did not put that as like, what happened with him and Scal? But you could be right. I have no idea because
It's a theory.
Because Violet goes to reach out to Xaden and the bond is like not there.
Done.
So, and part of the reason why her and Xaden were able to communicate telepathically was because of Scal and Tairn.
Correct.
Sigil, whatever.
Correct. The bond is gone. And
But it could be his venenedness.
It could, but also she was linked to Sigil.
Because of Xaden, though.
Yep. No, because of Tairn.
Oh, yes. You're right.
And so that I'm getting into theories right now,
Okay,
but
that's
I'm
a good
thinking
point.
it's a point that I think is made because there is no point in the conversation where Segal has decided to release the bond of Xaden. At
Can
the
she
end,
though? Can she just do that?
She can. She can stop the
What?
bonds because she's not gonna die. He'd die.
Well,
You know. She could have in the beginning when he turned venom, it was still like she could have just broken the bond.
okay.
And I
didn't know
think
that she
that's
could
my
do that.
understanding. I might be wrong. I don't know. We might have to look into that again. But my whole idea behind this is it doesn't seem like Segal is going to leave Xaden.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. There's no
Why?
Why?
Okay, should we go into the dragon stuff now?
Yes.
Okay,
Well, let's
so
go into the dragons.
That leads me to one of the biggest inconsistencies for me is you open Fourth Wing, and one of the very first things you find out is that dragon kind comes first.
Yeah.
Dragons bond themselves to humans to increase their power, but humans are like pebbles to them. And even during threshing, you see when Violet and Tairn bond and she gets on his back and he starts flying, she's like, I see people falling off their dragons and dying, and then like that's it, the bond is gone because you died, and
Yep.
I'm just a dragon, and well, fuck you, you couldn't hang on, kind of thing.
Yep.
So we've been led to believe that dragons will put dragons before humans, that the bond between dragons and humans on the dragon side is purely convenience. There's no emotional tether there. They essentially don't give a shit. But why do we have how many? 12 dragons that have not told the Empyrean about venom within their ranks?
Yep.
Why do we have so many instances of dragons not putting dragonkind first, rather putting their rider first? Like Scal, who's been super pissed off for a whole book about Xaden being a venom. Why wasn't she just like, he's venom, and told like Coda?
Everybody.
Or everyone. And Tairn, like, the rebellion. He knew about it, never told Violet, never told the Empyrean. Just was like,
Andarna knew.
zip.
Everybody knew.
Nobody told on them. And then, I don't know his name, but Jack Barthow's dragon knew that Jack was a venom and started doing, I know the color has something to do with it, where people have said,
It's a theory that I think it's orange dragons are shady. Brennan has one. Jack Barlow had one. And I think Imogen has a.
we don't know her color, as Ahmed said.
I think we do. Well, I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know, that's what I saw.
But there's a theory that the orange dragons are shady.
Well, my point is, like, shady or not, there's Tairn, Andarna, Scal, Riddick's dragon, Sawyer's dragon, Rhiannon's dragon, Garrick's, Bodhi's, Imogen's, Brennan's, Jack Barlow's, and Panchek's. They all know that Xaden is venom. All of those dragons are bonded to these people. They all know that Xaden is venom, and none of them are like, ding, 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 hello,
Yeah,
these
this is
fuckers are
wrong.
venoms.
Yep.
None of them.
None of them. But again, this goes back to the idea that, like, okay, there's something going on with these dragons. There's
Definitely.
something going on because even before the venom, all of these dragons knew about the rebellion.
Yeah.
They were sneaking
Even more
out
than that.
daggers. Yeah, even more than this. They were sneaking out daggers. They were doing shady shit. They knew about Aratia, like, rebuilding, and nothing was said. All these dragons knew there was something going on.
So it's either there's a bigger picture that has not been revealed to us.
Yep.
Or Rebecca Yarros is not following her own rules.
Yep.
Because it is so clearly stated that dragons, and even at some point, something is going on with Tairn and Darna and Violet, where I think Andarna put herself in danger or something, and Violet is like, go, or something, and Tairn's like, no, and oh, no, it's when they go to save Mira, and Tiny Teen is there, and she's like, take him, and he's like, I'm not leaving you, and she's like, Dragonkind puts Dragonkind first. And he's like, don't tell me what dragons do. And eventually she convinces him to do it. But, like, time and again, like, Dragonkind does not put Dragonkind first.
No.
Or, like, even Varish in the previous book, when he's fucking with Violet. And I understand they're bonded, but, like, Tairn doesn't be like, I'm eating you. He goes and grabs Varish's dragon by the throat and is like, I'm gonna fucking kill you if your stupid little person doesn't stop fucking with my person.
Correct.
So we've seen a lot of dragons not doing what we were told that they're supposed to do.
I know, and I feel like it's either the biggest plot hole in the world, or it has to be something like. Even before the rebellion, we get the idea that Panchak has been selling. Do we know? He's not Venom. He's not. Panchak is not Venom.
I think he is. Isn't it in the last few pages of Onyx Storm?
Excuse me. Yeah, you're going to have to open it up.
Yeah, let me just check because I thought that they did, that he says, oh, Panchak.
I think it says he's been selling secrets.
Okay. But the one who walks forward toward Panchak's cowering traitorous ass, putting himself between Scal and me, he's a problem.
It's not clear cut.
It's not.
So I'm almost thinking, I don't even think Panchak is a Venom. I think that he's been selling secrets. Which Jack Barlow does say at one point when he's in a cell. He says, it makes you wonder who's been channeling behind the wards or who's been selling secrets.
Okay.
But then why?
I think he's Venom. I think Panchak
You think
is
he's
Venom.
Venom?
Well, I mean, just like, what is he getting out of selling secrets?
That's what I'm thinking.
I think he is Venom. Obviously, it wasn't explicitly said. So when the whole brother thing, which we don't need to go into that right now, but when that comes up,
because we're here.
Okay. When the brother thing comes up, I didn't read. I thought they were saying that now Panchak is his brother because I'm an idiot. And then I had to reread it when you were like, who do you think the brother is? And I was like, you're a dumbass. It's Panchak. They said it. And you were like, no, girl, reread. And then I reread it and I was like, oh, okay. I see what you mean now. So the brother theories. I'm going to go first because you're reading.
Okay.
You know what I think. I think it's Garrick, Bodhi, or Brennan.
Okay.
Yaros said in some Q&A that it's somebody that's missing in the end.
Yeah.
And think of people who need power, right? People who like what the power they have is not enough kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's Garrick.
I feel it's Garrick too.
The reason why is in Imogen's chapter. Mm-hmm. Which why did we get an Imogen and a Rhiannon chapter? That's super random. But in Imogen's chapter, when she's holding Quinn, which that was heartbreaking, and I don't even give a shit about Quinn. But she's like obviously beside herself and she's looking down and she notices that the color, she's like, I don't know if I'm going crazy or with grief or something like that, but the colors of the stones are fading. And then very shortly thereafter, Garrick comes out and he's like, we need to get out of here. There's, for whatever reason, he's like, we need to go right now. And then he holds her and teleports somewhere else when you had just been told, like, he can't teleport anymore. Like, he's done, basically. So
that made me think that way at the end.
So I think it's Garrick. Yeah. And because after that, he's, like, visibly frustrated. He's like, I need to find a way to do something more.
Look. Okay, so he goes, I can't, she screams, like, where are you going? I shout at Garrick's back. I can't walk again. Even if I made it to Aratia, I'd never be strong enough to get back. So I'd better find some fucking way to do something.
Yeah. So.
He can't do it anymore.
Right. And yet.
So does he accept defeat?
Well, but he just did.
Well, it doesn't. Well, that's where it's. I feel like it's up to perspective because Garrick's square jaw flexes. You have to go. We have to go, or they'll drain us too. He says, There's half a dozen of them with their hands on the city walls, draining the life out of Stone. It's time to go. Whatever, she doesn't want to leave her. We have to take Quinn, blah, blah, blah. I noticed the circles beneath his beautiful eyes, the unusual pallor of his complexion. He's exhausted. And for the first time in my life, I don't care that he's seeing me as the weakest. Because he's right there, too. All right, he moves quickly to the step beneath us, kicking something out of the way and gathering both of us into his arms. I lock mine around Quinn. He takes a simple step. Heat and light force my eyes shut. Oh, no. Hold on. She doesn't slip as we're lifted off the floor and the landing beneath us loses its color.
So he's draining, right?
Yeah, and potentially you can look at it as like the venom outside are draining to the point where like he barely got out.
He already said that he couldn't jump anymore.
Yeah.
And that was before this. That was when he took Barlow back to Basigath or whatever.
Yep.
So I think it's Garrick. It could be Bodhi.
It could be Bodhi just simply because he's been frustrated the entire book.
It has to be Garrick or Bodhi because it's somebody that he considers a brother.
Yep.
I don't think he considers Brennan a brother either.
No.
I think Brennan is...
But it's interesting, the wordage.
Yes.
The wordage is interesting.
Yes, and also, I think you sent me something about, like, the siblings. Mm-hmm. Was that you who sent it to me?
Yeah.
That, like, I can't remember, I'm paraphrasing, but it had something to do with the first three, the Dragon Rider, the Griffin.
The Griffin, yes.
And that Xaden is thinking something along the lines of, like, another one of her siblings, something like that. Am I wrong? Am I being crazy?
No, you're not crazy. But I think I took it in a way that I have never heard and I might be dumb. But this is the way that I viewed it. In the beginning, the fable of the venom was that one took from a dragon, one took from a griffin, and another one took from the earth because he was jealous, right?
Right.
But then at one point, one of Violet's questions to Jack Barlow was like, do you need to be taught how to channel, or is it something that happens? Which is another argument for us to like kind of how easy to become venom, whatever. And Jack Barlow says, not really. However, Griffin riders and Dragon riders know what magic feels like. So if you don't have that knowledge, you might not be able to become venom. So then that kind of adds to the idea of like, and then they even say in these fables, dragons are demonized.
Yeah.
You know? So my idea is like, from the very beginning, and I think I've gone out another way, but the whole idea that I bring back is, I think that we know that the dragons could be bad. And I think that we do know that the way that he means brother is up to interpretation.
I agree. But I think that he says, I was looking for it, but I can't find it. He says that it's somebody that has seen him struggle all these months. So it has to be someone close to him. The only people, it cannot be Sawyer, it cannot be Riddick, it cannot be Rhiannon, because they found out like a month ago. So he's like, all these months, this person has been watching, my brother, whatever, has been watching me struggle. I can't believe they just knowingly did this shit. Which, like, hypocritical of you to say because you did it in a moment of weakness. Like, shut up. But it has to be Bodhi, Garrick, Brennan, or Imogen.
I'll read it.
And I don't think it's Brennan, and I don't think it's Imogen.
I don't think it's
I think it's Garrick or Bodhi.
Unless there's like a huge plot twist that we didn't think of. Because look, this is what he says. The two venom standing guard ahead of me at the mouth of the canyon in their ridiculous robes aren't an issue. I'll have them desiccated within heartbeats as soon as Sigil can regain enough power. But the one who walks forward toward Penchek's cowering traitorous ass, putting himself between Sigil and me, he's a problem. Not because he's more lethal. Not even because he's supposed to be dead. But because I can't kill him. I could no more raise a blade to his throat than I could Violet. All right. When I first started seeing theories of it being someone like Liam, I'm like, you can really add 2 + 2 and get 5. Like, come on. They're obviously talking about Berwin. But I don't think he's talking about Berwin. When he says not even because he's supposed to be dead. Because he brings in Berwin after. So, who is he talking about? Not because he's more lethal, not even because he's supposed to be dead, but because I can't kill him. And then he goes, I glanced past Berwin, past Sigil and the Venom, to my new brother and the unconscious dragon lying in the valley beyond the canyon, guarded by 7 women. How could he do this? Choose this after watching me stumble and fall over the last 5 months. How could he willingly walk the path I fought like hell to leave? He's the last person I ever would have expected to turn, and yet here we are. I don't get it.
I think it's Garrick or Bodhi. He's not close to anybody other than them, honestly. Unless it's Brennan and he's just like shocked that Brennan would do that and he can't hurt him because it would hurt Violet kind of thing.
But again, I feel like this is... I when I first read this, I'm like, oh, he's talking about Berwin because he is more lethal and he's supposed to be dead. But why can't you kill him? It's not because you can't raise a blade to his throat. No, because look, he goes, I could no more raise a blade to his throat than I could Violet. The bond between violence and me is the kind of magic that has no explanation. But the bond between Berwin and me is the kind that should never exist. And now that my sage has another sibling he can use against me, I'm screwed.
Because it's someone he cares about.
Right. So why would the person that he cared about be dead?
Well, probably like something in this battle because we don't know what Xaden has been doing. We've only had a glimpse of Bodhi. We've only had a glimpse of Garrick.
Maybe Garrick or Bodhi one of them
okay. were fighting with him. If I had to guess, it would probably be Bodhi because Garrick was jumping around.
Yep.
But I think that when he's saying they should be dead, unless there's somebody in his life that died, like his dad or something, but I don't think it's his dad because his dad was executed in front of him. Somebody that he really cares about that he thought was dead.
Yeah. Which is where they bring up Liam.
Right, but they burned Liam alive.
So. Yeah,
it's kind of like people have said that Violet's mom maybe is Venom, but like they burned her alive. Like she's
yeah. No, and Rebecca Jaros has said that.
Or Liam it could be Violet's dad, but I mean, what's the likelihood of that?
And what's the bond that he would have with him?
And how would he even recognize him?
Correct.
I mean, unless he was like, I'm Violet's dad.
Yeah. I think it's Garrick.
I think it's Garrick or Bodhi. I'm more leaning towards Garrick because of Imogen's chapter.
Yep.
But it's either one of them.
Frustrations, like I need to do it somewhere. Like I need to find the power from somewhere. But then the good argument that I have been seeing from other sources has been like, well, if it's not Bodhi, why wouldn't Xaden just leave him Tyrandor anyways, if he would be the living heir?
Well, you're talking about his marriage to Violet?
Yeah, like what would be the
well,
point
but we don't know why he married her. It could be a plethora of reasons.
But he says like now like Tyrandor is yours basically.
Yeah, but we don't know
why
he married Violet. It could be because Bodhi is now... Look, he just became Venom. Honestly, I don't really think he's thinking about Tyrandor. I think he's more thinking about Violet. I think he's thinking about this betrayal of this person that he loves. Mm-hmm. I think that he's slowly losing his humanity. He even talks to Sigil and he's like, will you forsake me now? Yeah. And she's like, what is there left to forsake? And they're like...
He's like, watch, or whatever. And like, yeah.
They're both going back and forth. So and when you're reading it, you can tell the tone of his perspective is... like muted, like it's very emotionless.
Yes, very numb.
Yes, very numb. And the only things he can make himself care about slightly are Violet and Sigil. I don't think he's thinking about Tyrannodor right now. I just don't. So, yes, it could be that Bodhi is the brother, and that's why he was like, take me to Violet. But I don't think he was like, take me to Violet, let me marry her so she could become the heir. Like, I think he was like, I need to talk to Violet for whatever reason.
Okay.
And then whatever reason they decided to get married, which I guess we'll find out in the next book, I think...
Hopefully. Deleted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it just came with, like, and now you are the Duchess of Tyrannodor. I think that marriage had something more to do with, like, a bigger picture. I don't think it had to do with Tyrannodor. I think it had more to do with, like, potentially...
So you theorize whether it makes sense... Regardless, whether Bodhi is Venom or not, he would have married her. There's a point to it.
I think there's a reason beyond Toreador for it.
Okay.
I don't think that that's why he married her.
Gotcha. Okay.
I could be wrong. If Bodhi is the brother, then I was wrong. But
I feel like he's such an obvious choice, and that's why I'm not loving it.
I just think it's Garrick.
I think it's Garrick too.
Which sucks.
It does
honestly.
suck. It sucks in many other ways, to be honest. So.
Okay, so can we segue into the cure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because why do we not know, like, anything about it? Like, it's almost, there was a point where we were talking about, okay, what was the purpose of this book? Not because, like, we're trying to have a perfect piece of literature in any way, but simply because, what were we supposed to fix, right? And so I wrote 3 things. The main purpose of the book is get a cure. We didn't.
Right.
Save Xaden. We didn't do that. And find Andarna's kind, which we did, which was disappointing in the least. But what's the cure?
Okay.
Or are we assuming that there isn't a cure? But then that wouldn't be...
So here's my thing with the cure.
Okay.
Let's say there is a cure. He takes it, right? Now he's back to being Xaden. What's to stop him from becoming Venom again the next time he needs it? Because now I know there's a cure. And so it's like even easier for me to now be Venom because I know I can cure this. Even if it's like a one-stop shop, like you could only use it once and that's it.
Yeah, or something like it's
What
like a big
is to
sacrifice.
stop him from becoming Venom again? And the thing with him that I've seen, the 2 times that he has willingly channeled has been to save someone he loves.
Yep.
And so he is going to do it again if he has to. For
As
Violet or
would.
for Scout,
Yep.
he will do it because he loves them. And so picture, let's say he does get cured and then he has a kid somewhere along the line and in a battle or whatever, his kid is in danger. You don't think he's going to channel?
1,000%.
You don't think he's going to do, because I would.
Yeah.
So my problem
Hands
with
down.
the cure, I don't think that there's going to be one because I think that if there's a cure for this, all it's going to do is give you like
More
a
of a
reset
reason.
button on being Venom.
Yep. I agree with that.
So I think it's going to have to go one of, I think, 3 ways.
Okay.
He gets, the cure would be that he is no longer allowed to use magic. Like it gets pulled out of him basically. Like whatever you do to cure him, it like
you leave him with
his
nothing.
ability to ever use any form of magic ever again. And
We're
that would-
aliening this. Alien.
yeah,
mushroom.
essentially.
Okay.
Essentially. That's one.
Okay.
2, and this is a recent theory that I got because of like a bunch of stuff I've been seeing online, is dedicating him. Because
Yeah, the way that they
Theophany,
talk. Yep.
Theophany said that she says to Violet, it's so ironic that like the thing that would take away my power of being Venom is the thing that like I love, and like basically the temple, going back into the temple would, which is what she studied and what she wanted for her whole life, going back in would take away her power of being Venom. So he would either have to be dedicated, there would have to be like no magic at all, option 2, or he is just gonna be Venom and he's gonna have to learn how to be a Venom Xaden, like a good guy Xaden Venom.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's like this little magic potion that he drinks.
I don't think
then,
it would be a disservice to the book if he just gets cured and like we go happy go lucky.
yeah.
I don't think it would be a good story, and I don't think it'd be a good sacrifice for everything that he went through. So I agree with you. I feel like there has to be I would lean towards number 1.
Yeah.
I think I'm leaning but again, the way that she's writing this believes that there's number 2 in there. Like there's obviously something that we have to learn about the dedication of the temples. But like, why? Like, what is that what does he have to do to be dedicated? Does that mean that he can
like,
only live in Dune's temple or
no,
Dune's
like
Isle?
If he were to be dedicated, I feel like it would be like this big thing where like, again, like no longer can access like certain parts of himself. Like, I think he's going to have to lose all magic. That's the only outcome I can see, because
Yeah.
even being dedicated, like what are the logistics there? Because if he's dedicated and can still use magic, what's to stop him from pulling from the source?
Which we need to talk about this. So why is it so easy to be a Venom?
So yeah, that's a problem of mine where I'm just like, it's too easy. And so it makes it, I don't know.
You're pulling from the earth, the way that he described it. I can feel it there. And even in the book, Violet feels it
in
under the
second
word
book at the
stone.
end.
She's like, I can feel it, and I understand why someone would take it. It doesn't feel hard to take.
Yeah.
And in the moment where you're like, my loved ones are dying, who wouldn't take it?
But that's why I don't like the venom, how easy it is, because it's like at some point everyone is desperate enough to do what they need to do.
100%.
So that opens the door for everyone to become a venom, because if you care about anything enough, you will do anything to save or protect. And
even like the random girl that turned in the middle of the sparring map, what was that?
She was scared. She thought she was going to die. She pulled from the ground.
She was in a safe
Super
place.
easy. And she was like a first year or something, right?
Yeah, she was a safe place. She was in class.
It's because Professor Carr was like, no, let him like hurt her.
But you know that
and
she's not going to die.
Right, but that's what brings me to this whole, like, it's too easy to pull from the source. There needs to have been, like, hurdles. Because if not, everybody would become venom. Like,
exactly.
You're going to tell me, as Violet Sorrengail's mother, that, like, apparently she gives a shit about her kids, which is news to me in the second book, but okay. She cares about them so much. If I'm her, I will 1,000% pull from the earth to protect Brennan, Mira, Violet, because they're my children.
Correct.
So mothers would all be Venons. Anybody that loves their mother would be a Venom, because again, like if my mom is in, like I will do anything to protect my mom.
Yep.
So I just feel like it's too easy.
So why is it so simple? It bothers me.
Because I don't think this was well thought out.
I think this is a loophole.
Yeah.
I think that, no, what am I saying? Not loophole. I think this is a plot hole that I don't think is going to be an answer. I think everybody's just accepting, like, yeah, he became Venom. No one's questioning, like, why is it so easy for them to become Venom? Yeah, I don't get it.
So, Andarna. I struggle with her because I know she's an adolescent and that's why she's so annoying. But she's annoying me.
Yeah.
And I like Andarna. Especially, one of my favorite lines in all three books are in the previous book where, Iron Flame, where Violet is talking to Andarna and she's like, you're not a black dragon. And she's like, keep going. And she's like pushing her to like get to the answer. You know what it is. And she's like, you're a different breed. And she was like, yes. And she's like, I have waited however many years she was in that egg for you. And she was like, Violet was basically like, yeah. And how she was like, I heard about you, about the weakest, and I tested you and I chose you and you and I belong together kind of thing. And it was the most beautiful thing that I've heard anybody say to Violet, including Xaden. And he's said wonderful things to her. So I like Andarna. I think she's a sweet character. But this book, she was really annoying. And I know why. She's an adolescent. So when she's on this quest to find her Irid family, and she finally finds them, and then they reject her, and then she feels super acomplejada. How do you say that?
Yeah. Like
insecure, down about it.
Yeah.
And then Leonard, I don't know his name, Leothor.
I feel like we have to Leopold.
I don't know. Do you want your Kindle?
No.
He comes back and he's just like, I came back for you. I lit your ward stone so that it would protect your human. Let's go. And she has this conversation with Violet about it. Like a very short conversation where she's like, I don't know what to do. And Violet's like, I'm not going to stand in between you and your joy. Like, this is what you've been wanting. Go, basically. She doesn't say go, but without saying it, she says it. And Andarna leaves. And she severs the bond between her and Violet. And then Violet goes comatose for like 4 days. And doesn't shower and doesn't nothing. And she's like feeling all of this grief. And then it's beautiful. This whole part is beautiful because Tairn opens himself up unlimited to her.
Yeah.
And she's like, Tairn has always been with me, but for the first time, I'm always with Tairn too. And she's like, he's been flooding me with the bond to try and make me like not feel the pain of not having her. which is so beautiful because it shows how Tairn cares about her. And then she finally is like, all right, I'm going to get out of bed. And she showers and she starts moving forward. And it's been 5 days since Andarna left. And then 7 days later, she's back.
Yep.
And I found that to be so pointless.
Pointless.
First of all, she could have done something great. She could have learned how to be the best Irid that she could. She could have learned her species, like whatever it is that they had to teach her. She could have learned that.
Yep.
She could have honed it and then come home to Violet, if that's what she wanted, with like assets and being like, I know how to kill Venom now, or I know how to this.
His name is Leofen.
Leonard.
Leo. His name's gonna be Leo.
Leofen. Okay. So she could have come back with all of these things, like all of these assets, all of these, and honestly, it would have been better if she came back in the last book and was like, hey, I'm a trump card now. We can kill Venom. This is what we need to do. There is kind of a cure. This is what we can do.
Yep.
You know, with like experience and
with
like
something.
Right. But instead, she comes back a week later after Violet suffered the loss of her. And did what? Literally nothing. Literally nothing. All she does is show up and then fucking Stephanie.
Theophany. I know, I hate the name.
Stephanie.
I hate the name.
Theopatra. I saw some girl online calling her Theopatra.
Theopatra.
Stephanie is like an Irid. And the only purpose that Andarna served was to distract Theophany for a second.
Yep.
So that Violet could be like, lighting up your ass. And that was it.
Yep. Literally. That's it.
I feel like it was such a missed opportunity. I don't know why she came back. She better have a real
She better have a good fucking reason.
She better be like, they were like,
I
eat me
also,
or
I
something.
brought this up to you the other day. How did she get there?
Dude.
How did she get back to those aisles? Tairn,
Leonard.
like, literally carried her the entire way. So
Leonard carried her.
You better have a real good explanation as to how she got back. Be so, like, come on.
I just feel like it was so pointless. And I was like, wow, this is perfect. Now she's finally going to be able to grow as a character and come back seasoned and be able to contribute. Because Andarna is great as, like, emotionally for Violet.
Yeah.
But she is a liability in every other way.
100%.
She's always in danger and never listens.
Like Violet.
Because,
She's like Violet.
Well, she's supposed to be. They kind of like emulate each other with like the wing that has problems and like 100%. Violet's bones. So like they do
and
have
Tairn
a very
is just tired of both of them.
Tairn is just like, oh my god, these dumbasses that don't listen to shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I agree with you. I did not like Andarna's storyline. I did not. I could have been okay with the fact that she was disappointed to find her kind, which was, in my opinion, a letdown. The way that that entire thing went down. I don't understand, like, what they're doing. Like,
are you just like flying in your clouds, enjoying life while everybody else is dying?
Up to? Yeah, like, are you guys just?
And let me just say,
like,
you guys, the Irids, left the other 6 breeds of dragons because you were like, you're all corrupt, but we're gonna leave this egg baby so that this is your chance to change. With no instructions.
Show us that you've gotten better.
With no instructions. And then you're upset when the baby was raised by people that you don't agree with their like ways of being. And she's like them because you left her by herself there.
Correct.
And you're like, oh, failure. You're the failure. You left her.
Yep.
You didn't teach her anything. If it was like, we're going to leave one dragon to teach you our ways. Okay. But she was an egg and you left. Literally. And then she was raised by all the other dragons that you hate. And now you're like, what? Why are you like this? Like, bitch, seriously?
I know.
How else am I supposed to be? You left me.
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense. The Irids were so unreasonably stupid.
This whole storyline was like not giving for me. The plot was not plotting on this end.
Yeah.
I feel like I could have gone. I just wish it could have gone a different way. I was like really expecting like a magnificent reason why they left. Like I even thought to my head like they probably left because they got, you know, hunted out because of the venom, because they're like the magic weapon or some shit.
I thought they left because of like corruption or like something in the Empyrean or like
fair.
I don't know, something relevant, but they were just like, yeah, we don't like how they are, so we left.
We don't like that they're like mean dragons.
And then we left one egg and expected this like newborn
to see if dragons are not going to be mean and vicious.
The fuck?
So, anyways, I didn't like that. Not a huge fan of it. Let's talk a little bit about my favorite. So I finished this book before Carla, and I was just waiting for the text when she hears or she reads Violet's second signet. Mm-hmm. Tell me about what your thoughts are about.
Of course she's a dreamwalker. Of course she is. She couldn't be a water wielder. No. Of course she's a wheeled walker. And of course it's one of the most dangerous ones because you're like...
most rare.
Because it's the most rare.
Yeah.
And also you're like mind reading when everybody's asleep and their shields are down. So it's extra dangerous because nobody has shield. I was like, oh my God, of course.
I know.
But... what I found interesting was that, I don't remember who says it. Somebody says, Rebecca Yarros in a Q&A. They asked her, like, what percent of Violet's first signet have we seen? She was like 80% because it's powered. She channels it through lightning. And then they were like, and her second signet, she was like 10%. And then she said her second signet, there's really only like one other person that could teach her how to hone it. And I think it's Bruin, the sage.
Okay.
Because
he's all in all those dreams.
Because I don't think they're dreams. I think he's intentionally
creating that space.
They have always felt a little too like real.
Yeah.
He's always talking to Xaden about things that are happening. And I know your subconscious is like that, but for it to be such a recurring dream.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a dream.
I think he has consistent, and then like he's like, I'm getting tired of this. I'm waiting for you. Come now. And Xaden's like, no. And then Violet pulls out and she does something and the sage is like, I thought you were smarter than this. And he like kind of like taunts her and he's like, he can't this because that. And then she pulls out a knife and stabs herself and he's like shocked by that. So I think that the sage, Bruin, Naolin, is a dreamwalker.
Naolin has to come in because in the next two books he's not even mentioned. I'd be like,
but my thing with Naolin, then what happened with Tairn and him? Because there's technically he's bonded to
the bond that Sigil will not do for Xaden.
Okay, but might have because she can't reach Xaden in the end.
But I'm gonna side plot this. The reason why Tairn from the beginning is so upset at Xaden. The entire book, he's like, I'm over this guy.
Yeah.
This guy sucks. This guy is not supposed to be here anymore. And he's almost like tolerating him. Well, he's fighting with Sigil all of the book.
Yeah.
You know, even Mir is like, how come they haven't hunted together the entire time that we've been here? So Tairn is very like, you're picking him over my opinion, like about like we're mated dragons and we're supposed to be this is another one, right? Like mated dragons are supposed to be the strongest bond, even above Rider and Dragon.
Okay.
And Sigil's out here picking Xaden, not breaking the bond, and Tairn is probably even madder because he did.
Which goes back to why are all of the dragon rules being ignored?
Correct. But anyways, that's my idea.
Okay,
I think Naolin turned, and I think Tairn broke the bond.
There's a lot of theories that Naolin did turn.
Yeah. But anyways.
Very possible.
Dreamwalkers.
I felt like, of course, she got it because it's such an OP, like, oh my God, okay, so you wield lightning and you're super dangerous because you're so smart and with your fucking knives and now you're an intense, the most dangerous kind of intense. Oh my God. I was like, ugh. But I guess we'll see. I feel like her signet is going to be able to, like, she's going to be able to manipulate people.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think she's going to potentially be able to kill people in their sleep too, because it's Violet.
Yeah. I feel like, I'm glad that we don't know much about it yet, just because it gives me the ability to let you, like, develop this and not have opinions on it too much. But I feel like at first I'm like, why is everybody so afraid it's just a dream? But now I feel like when I reread, I was like, okay, I can see the intentions here and how it can be dangerous.
I think she's just there as she develops it. I think she's going to be able to control more.
Yeah.
And her first signet is power.
Yeah.
So I think maybe she can intertwine them. I don't know.
We don't hate it, but we don't love it.
No, I hate it.
Okay.
Because of course, not lightning wasn't enough.
I hated a little too.
Lightning was not enough.
Expecting something
we had
different.
to give her something else.
I know. Okay, so let's do our favorite characters.
Okay.
And then I have one more theory that I want to talk about.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think hands down everybody feels like Riddick was amazing.
Yeah.
I think Riddick was amazing. I loved him. I loved his, I love his character development. I love how he, threw it, just because I'm funny does not mean that I am not powerful.
I love that too. And I loved how
it.
he's becoming super powerful with his signet.
Yep. Which goes into a theory for me.
Of?
What's going on?
With?
He was so intense about being in the quest squad.
Well, he explained it.
Did he though?
Kind of. Why?
I guess I'm iffy about it.
What do you think?
So he thinks. It's said that he joined the quest squad because he thinks when they're not all together that something bad's going to happen to Violet. I love that he said that he wanted to know about the whole Venom part because Violet deserves to have someone 100% on her team. I don't think he was wrong to think that all those people would choose Xaden over Violet. Even Xaden was like, no, they know that. Please
get the fuck out of here. I'm going to take your side before hers.
That's one of the only moments that I found Xaden to be absolutely wrong and a poor judge of character for me. I did not like that. But why is it that Riddick is so powerful all of a sudden, and how they've talked about the fact that there are not a lot of water wielders that can do the things that he did, and why is he so? From the beginning, even when she came back saying she doesn't have access to pick the squad members, that he's like, I'm going to be on the quest squad.
So what's your theory there?
I don't know. I feel like I have a theory that either he's going to be one of the 6 that they say the 6 most powerful.
Oh yeah, people are already compiling lists of who this. Of course, Violet, Xaden, but they're putting Riddick in there too.
They're putting Riddick in there, and why is he so adamant about being a part of that? And why is there's a moment I don't think I wrote it down here, but I think it was in Devarelli, where they go into the bookstore, and I don't know who goes in. He doesn't go in. Okay, it goes Mira, Dane, Xaden, and Violet go in, and then Violet turns around and she's like, okay, so stay here, and Riddick says, I'll be where you need me. He's been shady the entire book. I think he's been amazing. Yeah.
I haven't taken it like that at all.
Where's the book?
It's an interesting theory.
I might be reading into it, but I just almost always feel that there's something weird about the way that he...
I love your bookmarker.
Thanks. I got it at the...
I know.
Maybe not even. Okay. Hold on. Oh, whatever. I'm not going to find it. So...
You want the Kindle?
Huh?
Do you want the Kindle?
No, because I don't even know where I can find it there either.
Okay.
He's been intense. I'm not saying maybe I'm reading too into it.
No, he has been intense. He's
been intense. And one of the things that came to my mind is is he so intense because he promised Liam that he was going to take care of her?
Did he?
He did. He was like, I'm going to protect her when he's not there. And maybe he is.
But he wasn't like this in the second book.
No, he wasn't. And why is he so powerful all of a sudden? Why has he been able to freeze a wyvern?
Well, it's a good theory. It's a good point that you've made. I think that, okay, so one of my issues with Yaros and the series is her lack of fleshing out her side characters.
Yeah.
Whereas okay, Throne of Glass is top tier, so I know we can't be comparing everything to that, but in Throne of Glass you get different chapters with different perspectives of different characters, and they each have their own background that you find out about, and it happens in Harry Potter also, where Neville and Hermione and Ginny has they all have their backgrounds. Luna and I don't think she's done that. I don't think Rebecca has given all the other characters, or even just the main characters, more. And even Xaden, we're just now finding out about his mom. Yep. So I think she was lightly trying to expand on the side characters in this book, because Sawyer has a story arc with his dragon. Yep. Rhiannon kind of has a little bit of storyline where she's having conflict in between being a leader and a friend. And then Riddick...
boring.
Yeah, I agree. Rhiannon is like the most boring side character to me.
Yeah. I mean, she doesn't do anything for me.
Same.
In my opinion.
Same. And then I think Riddick was the only logical choice, which is true, to be like a companion for her. Yep. And I think she was trying to kind of be like, yeah, he's funny, but like, relax. That does not mean that he is like weak. And what I enjoyed about him in this book, he is one of my favorite characters also. I enjoyed that pretty much the main person that was clocking all of Violet's shit was him, which is refreshing because she usually is able to say and do whatever she wants and everybody just agrees with her.
Goes along with it.
And in this book, he was like making fun of how her and Xaden are always like
fighting,
arguing.
Fight, yeah.
I
know.
And then he like mocks them, or like how when she's like, oh yeah, he's Venom, but like he would never, and he's like, shut up. He's like, shut the fuck up.
What's the line? I love that one. What's the line?
Which one?
When he's like, what's the line of when he's gonna?
Oh yes,
like,
I love that.
Give me boundaries,
and
because
then,
we're not gonna be.
And then he's like,
here.
and what's your line? Would you channel for him?
Yep.
I loved that. I was like, yes, fucking hold her accountable.
100%.
So, even though I still don't think she's been held accountable for like the things she's done, at least we got a lot of Riddick being like, hey, like, you're being a dumbass. Yeah. And even I loved that he stood up to Xaden, who's like scary and like whatever. And he was
I love that part. I love that he's like, and I know Xaden can read his intentions, but I almost feel like he respected him more. Like, I can tell.
I hope he did, because it was awesome that he was like, just because you're scary doesn't mean I'm scared of you. And yeah, Xaden's like, yes, you are. And he's like, whatever, bro.
But I think the intention there was like, yeah, I'm scared, but I'm still going to stand up to
right.
you.
I think he was like, yeah, I'm scared of you, but I will, like, if I have to fight you, I will.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that.
I love that.
So Riddick definitely
10
grew,
out of 10 for me.
in my opinion, in this book. And he's always been great. He's funny.
Yeah. And then our second favorite, I think Eric.
Well, my first favorite is Tairn.
Well, Tairn is always our favorite.
Yeah.
It is so true. Hold on. We're going to...
And then... Oh, wait, let me pause. Good?
Yeah.
We're good. So, yeah, Tairn's... Wait, I'll wait for you to say it.
I'm here.
Yeah, but when we edit, like, I want you to be sitting.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tairn is my favorite, followed by... It's kind of a tie for me between Riddick and Eric. And that's crazy to say because Eric has had so little. Really.
I know.
He's been like so irrelevant.
He's such a vibe.
But I really like him.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know what about him. And I love that he's like
he's no
seeing
bullshit.
into the future.
Yeah.
And he's like, be here. And if you're not there, he's like, I'm going to make you be there kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like, I love how he's like, I'm not telling anybody what my signet is. I'm just going to move the pieces that I need to.
I think he moves in silence, and I think he's very confident.
I love that.
Yes, and I think he's confident. I think he's
Yes.
good. You can tell his character is like over his brothers, and he's royalty, and he's been raised in nobility, and he's got all he wanted, and he's like a good person.
Yeah,
you know,
which is refreshing because nobility is normally a piece of shit.
Yeah,
and somebody pointed out online how they were like, we know of the 2 blue dragons. They're both bonded to royalty. Because Xaden is a royal. Yeah. And so is Eric. So they're like, are blue dragons like royalty in the Empyrean? Which I don't think so.
But again, it's a theory.
It's interesting.
I like that.
And then I liked how... What was I going to say? That was it.
Okay. Well, in my opinion, I loved Eric because I love that he moved in silence, and I love this personality. I feel like his entire personality reminded me of Tairn, to be honest with you. He was very much like, guys, get your shit together. Like, we
Tairn
have
acts
things
extra
to do.
grumpy though.
Yeah, but I love it. But what I'm saying, like, there was a point where I was rereading today, or notes and whatnot, and he was like, they were in the Hedotas, I think, and they were eating whatever, and things were happening already. And Violet points out that Garrick is fighting and Xaden is doing this, and Eric is just continuing to eat. He's like unbothered. He's like, these people.
You know what I loved was when they all go on the quest and like Dana's like, oh, he said that, and he's like, no, he didn't. He said this.
Close, but.
And he's like, wait, you know how to speak this? And he's like, yeah.
You didn't ask me.
And they were like, you didn't say you were a master of all languages. And he was like, well then, I just wouldn't be able to come. Which I want to say, Dane has had so much growth in this book.
I love Dane.
He is such a good character.
Dane. I love the possibility between him and Sloane.
I see that.
Oh my God,
wait a minute. Wait,
it's
the part where he's like, don't I know gonna it? Hurt. And he's like, oh gods, don't I know it? I was like, Dane, what's happening? I loved that.
I know, me too. I'm like,
And I love that he's not like chasing after Violet to be his
Yeah.
friend again. He's like, whatever, do your thing.
yeah.
I love that
I
about
agree
him.
with her. I agree with that. Yeah.
I love that he's just like, yeah, honestly, if it was me, couldn't be me. Because if she sent me to shit, never talk to me again, bitch. I don't care what you need from me.
100%.
But I'm unhinged, so we can't just take what I say and do it.
He's better than us.
He's better than me. But I do love how he's like, even though he's like, I will always be there for you, he's like, I'm not chasing you.
No.
Like, it is what it is.
Exactly.
This is who I am. You can do with it what you want.
Yeah. I agree. I think Dana was really great in this book. I really appreciated him. I think we know why we love Tairn. So
He's great. And can we talk about how bothered we are by how Violet treats Tairn?
yeah, because that's a lot. That's upsets me a lot because
know.
I'm like, how can you? I just feel like I'd be so obsessed with him.
Same.
I'd be so respectful of him, and I know that their bond is very like banter, very like he makes fun of her and she makes fun of him, and like in a way that like they're both annoyed by each other. But I also feel like she just takes him for granted a lot.
Yes.
You know, I think that she thinks, yeah, this is my dragon. He picked me, and I'm super duper powerful, and like, yeah.
Even though she said something beautiful to him,
It's
where
like,
she
you've
was
been
like,
the gift of my life.
I loved that she
I
said
love
that because that's how I would feel, but I feel like that wasn't enough.
I don't think that the writing is reflecting. I wish they would go into more bonding between Tairn and her.
I wish we would see more quality time of them, not just them flying in battles. Like, I wish we would see her and him just like riding in the sky because he's like hunting for food, or because like
I agree with
they
that.
just need to be together for whatever reason.
And for many, like, I feel like her reaction to him getting knocked out.
I think her reaction to him protecting
so
her
fucking
and getting
low-key.
throwing himself on a mountain for her was so stupid. Like, she was like,
so bad.
He's kind of breathing. All right.
Yeah,
Whereas
let me talk to Garrett.
I would have been like in his mouth, like trying to resuscitate him. Yeah, get up.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I almost felt like, wow, really? That's the reaction you have? Like,
Yeah, and I would have been mentally like, are you okay? Like every 5 seconds. And
Yeah.
she's just like, he's fine.
Yeah. So I agree with that.
It's frustrating. Especially with how doting she is over Andarna. And I know it's
hate
different
that shit.
relationships.
No, but it's
And Andarna
different,
was a
but
baby.
also, come on.
Yeah, but I feel like I get it that Andarna is a baby and she knows that, and so she's more sensitive to that. But like, just because you baby her doesn't mean that you can't care for Tairn.
More for Tairn.
Yeah.
1,000%. I agree with that.
And show your love. Like, I don't know. She's just always sarcastic with him.
Yeah.
There's never like, I don't know. There's just never like any love that I've seen.
I
And the
agree.
only nice thing she said to him ever in these 3 books is, you have been the gift of my life.
Yeah. Which was lovely. But,
but
it
not
doesn't
enough.
cut it.
Not
it doesn't
enough.
cut it. Okay. Let's wrap it up and tell me, I think we agreed, which I don't think is going to happen for most books, but I think we agreed on a rating
I
from
think
1 through
so.
5. I think that we're giving this a 3.5.
Yes.
I think that I feel like it was the best book in the series.
I agree.
And I think that our dislike was some of the storylines. I don't think the plot was plotting.
Yep.
And I don't think that we love the world building.
I agree. I think that also,
But we love the character development for Iridic.
yes.
Xaden.
Relax. Yes. But the main character development is not there, and it needs to be. Violet needs to get it the fuck together. Because this is so tiring, reading her being the same person over and over again, and actually getting more and more insufferable.
Yeah.
And especially because we're reading mainly her perspective.
Yeah.
But I wanted to mention one more thing.
Yeah.
The gods. I feel like she's just like, oh, Malik. And then we're like, who's that?
Yeah.
Like, I know who Malik is, but I'm saying she throws random gods at you and doesn't give you a backstory. Like, there's this many gods.
Yep.
This is their roles. And it's frustrating to me because when they kept talking about dedicating to Dune, and I was like, who is Dune? Like, what is this? What does Dune even do?
I know.
Which has to do with the world building, kind of.
Yeah. I feel like with the gods, I feel like she just kind of... That's why I love the Isles so much, and I wish it would have been a better and more clear story. Because I feel like with the gods, there's so much that you don't know, and that's frustrating to me.
Yeah. And it's never explained. Like,
never
it's never
explained.
explained, like, oh, the gods are a mystery. No, she's just like, this god, that god, this god. So
what
it's
does it mean to be
confusing
dedicated, and what
on
does it mean
purpose.
to have them? And we have like little excerpts of things like, they're like, there was one that was like, it's better to ignore the gods than to favor one, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's like not clear cut.
Yeah.
So I agree with you.
But overall, I do think it was a 3.5.
I think so too.
It was my favorite book in the series.
Same.
So what do you think is going to happen in the next book?
I think I'm going to see a lot of Violet being annoying. I think we're going to see a lot of Violet being annoying with like a new title. I think they're going to try to annul the marriage because they're...
that's interesting.
I think they're going to try to annul the marriage because she hasn't graduated. And it's been said that they can't get married until...
Yeah, but... give me the book.
Oh.
I saw like a thing that kind of referenced that. In chapter 66, at the very top, you know how they give those little like tidbits of information? Yeah. It goes, while cadets are strongly encouraged not to form romantic attachments while studying in the quadrants, lieutenants are permitted to marry whomever they choose upon graduation. So technically, Xaden is lieutenant, and he chose to marry her. Yeah. I feel like, and that's on the codex.
Agreed.
So, they live by the codex. I don't think that they're going to try to annul it. I mean, I think they will, but I think on a technicality, they will be able to.
Yes, but then I think that they're going to come up with the fact that, like, was he a veteran when he married Violet?
True.
Like, he's not a lieutenant anymore.
True. But, yeah, that's true.
So I think they're going to try to annul the marriage. I think that they're going to try to take away Tyrandor. I actually think that she should lose Tyrandor.
I think so,
honestly, to create a more of an option for her character development. Like, why would we give this girl more power? Yeah. But I think that's what's going to happen. I do think that in the next book, we're going to have to figure out a cure for real.
I don't think that's going to happen till the last book.
Really? Okay, so I think then we're just going to see a lot of struggle between Xaden and Violet. And I think Violet is going to be alone and depressed. Which means that she's going to make it everybody else's problems.
Yep.
I think that's my gist of it.
I really don't have theories. I don't know what's going to happen in the next book. I do agree. I think it's going to be a lot of Violet complaining, whining, and moaning.
I also am hoping to get a lot of information on Mira. I hope, since we're going to take a break from Xaden, probably.
I'll tell you what I hope.
Yeah.
I hope Violet struggles, and I hope that she develops as a character. I hope she matures.
Same. Yeah,
I hope that we can give more depth to Mira, to Sawyer. Sawyer has so much character growth that he could go through because of his leg.
Yes.
I want to see more about the relationships between Sawyer and his dragon, Riddick and his, and I don't care about Rhiannon, but the other characters and their dragons. I think we're going to see something going on with Imogen in the next book, and potentially Garrick.
That's another thing. I feel like Garrick is going to be the one that's gone, and I feel like Imogen is going to go through it. I think she's going to be like, what?
I would like to see in the next book the truth about Brennan.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like you have to give me something with Brennan, because he's suspicious, he's weird, and he's mid.
Yeah, he's a very filler character.
Yeah.
He doesn't serve a greater purpose. I would like to see something happen with him. I do hope that they take Tyrannodor from Violet. Or I hope that and I don't think any of this is going to happen. I think she's going to be insufferable again, acting like the queen of the whole fucking world. Yeah. And being like, well, I'm the Duchess of Tyrannodor. Like, I don't think anyone's going to put her in her place, but I would love for that to happen. Yeah. And I don't know. I want to know what the fuck reason Andarna came back. I want her to go away again.
You better.
I want her to go
away. You better
away.
tell me about Andarna, because you better plot some holes, because I still can't get over the fact that Tairn took her there. Like, how did she get there? And how did she come back? Because the way I heard it...
It was Leonardo.
I feel like...
He brought her back.
It was Leo. I feel like the way that it seemed in the book, they were all those dragons seemed so much smaller than Tairn. Yeah. The way that they were written. So I'm like, I know nobody carried her from there. They're like little weaklings.
Maybe her wing is fixed now. I don't know. She has a lot of explaining to do. No, I don't want her wing fixed. I want struggling. Yes.
Okay,
like, why does Violet have to have the best dragons, the best this, the best that? True. I want Violet to get fucked. That's what I want. And I mean that not in a mean way. I want her to struggle as a character. Develop. Yeah. As much as I don't want to hear about Xaden for 27 chapters straight and her depression over him, I want her to struggle. Like, get some fucking
character.
Oh my
development.
god.
I know.
Become somebody instead of this like
I get everything.
I get everything I want. I deserve
Yeah.
this. You need to listen to me because you're a fucking cadet. Because she, oh, you know what I want in the second book
Yeah.
for her to graduate from her second year.
For real. I hope they skip us through and
Yes.
just graduate the quadrant. Anyways.
Okay.
Okay. So I think we're gonna wrap it up. This is a solid 3.5.
Yep.
And thank you so much for hearing us dive into the Empyrean, and catch us next time. What's our next read as we wait for the Empyrean?
Quicksilver?
Quicksilver. We've been hearing a lot about it, and it's funny because I feel like we've done a good job at not hearing any spoilers, and we don't even know what it's about really.
No.
So
I'm excited. I'm excited
Let's
to
see.
go
see
into
what-
a new world.
Same. I think we need a second breather to something else.
Yeah, I need a different perspective.
For real. She's been struggling through Violet. All right. Thank you.
Bye.